Thank y'all so much for tuning in to ArkanSanity episode 9. This week is some crazy, crazy stuff. We're actually going to be talking about underground tunnels and, of course, some Bryceonomics for all the fans out there. I did also set up a satellite so I can watch TV from the shop now. I'm going to see what's on. Oh, whoa. I'll be right back. I have great news. The biggest sponsor of the show is the Fight House Gym. And guess what? It is a brand new 12,000 square foot gym in Fayetteville, Arkansas. And guess what? Yours truly, me, is going to be coaching there. I'll be there probably at least 4 times a month. And the people in Fayetteville will get great value. The Fight House Gym is 12,000 square foot with padded MMA walls, padded ground, obviously. Weightlifting facility, AstroTurf, saunas, the cold plunges, the infrared lighting recovery. There's so many tools here at the Fight House Gym, and I'm one of the tools there. You can use me as a resource. I encourage you to, because I have over a decade of experience in martial arts. The martial arts that I teach you will transfer to your personal life. You will be stronger, more competent, and handle adversity better after training with me. I promise. Because iron sharpens iron, baby. Just like this shirt says, okay? Iron sharpens iron. So meet me at Fayetteville Fight House Gym, and the grand opening is early February. I will see y'all there. All right, we're going to get into some fake news, which is sadly real news. Bill Gates emotional after U.S. pulls funding from vaccine alliance. So we have pedophilia running rampant, but I'm supposed to feel bad because of Bill Gates' emotions. Got it. Oh, and guys, by the way, burning wood, it emits more than fossil fuels. How dare you heat your homes with that dangerous, evil wood? Shame on you. Niger announces a nationwide ban on visas for U.S. citizens. Well, I'm not going to be too affected. I don't plan to go to Niger anytime soon. Antarctica unexpectedly gained over 100 billion tons of ice in a single year, defying long trends of continual ice loss. So there's not global warming, or there is, but sometimes there's not, but there might be. We just don't know. What's science going to tell us to be afraid of next week? Russian ghost ship sank while smuggling nuclear reactor parts, likely bound for North Korea. Yeah, it sank. Trump awards $8.6 billion contract to build 50 fighter jets for Israel, paid for by American taxpayers. Yeah, America first. And there's going to be a lot of people on here telling me that Donald Trump's the good guy. And he's sending tens of billions of our dollars to the enemy. I wish that was fake news. Test everything, hold fast what is good. 1 Thessalonians 5:21. That applies to this fake news, okay? You got to really test the kind of stuff that they're telling you and use your discernment. Is this stuff real or is this stuff fake? You be the judge. So, the great news that I have is my chimney smoker is pretty much done. It's not 100% done, but I'd say it's 99% done. So, I'm talking about the chimney smoker that I mentioned way long time ago in episode 2. This was several months ago. Y'all have been very patient. This is the outside of it. It actually does look rather beautiful. The bottom there is done in masonry. With rocks I gathered from a creek. The top is built out of cedar. My buddy Bob did it. It has 4 doors. It protrudes 20 feet into the air. And the reason I did that design going upwards is because smoke drafts and goes upwards. I can actually fit a whole cow into this smoker. I built it to preserve a cow a day, basically, in hard times. Like if we revert back to tribal villages, we could easily just start a fire in that bottom fire pit there, and the smoke goes upwards, and we'll procure the meat, dry it out. You know how that stuff works, okay? Um, I do need to put double doors down there on the bottom, double glass doors, like old saloon style doors, that swing open. Um, I need to get a scaffold system to actually get up there and check the doors. So when I'm running a stake, if I'm running it off the inside of the home, smoking from the inside of the home, I'll put a steak on the second door. That's actually all that I've run on the smoker so far, and it was delicious. The steaks came out so good, and thank you, Ghost Man. This is what actually runs the smoker from the inside of the home. That's correct. That smoker you can run from the bottom burn pit where those double doors are going to go, or there where the clear doorway is at the bottom, or you can burn it from the inside, which is what I've been doing. This is my custom built wood stove by Cole Conway, best welder I've ever met in my life. And he really is the best welder that there is out there. Cole Conway. I built this custom wood stove that is really, really solid metal, half-inch thick stuff. Now he's old pipeliner. That pipe that he took is literally what they would use for a pipeline to transport oil. He got some of it working on the pipeline and brought it home and made me a stove out of it. This is really cool stuff. And it's a heat exchange right up there above the stove. It just stores a little bit extra heat if y'all are wondering what that was. But the whole thing is just made out of steel. It's phenomenal. Um, yeah, I can't say enough good about that stove. So basically, I'll start the fire inside in the wood stove. The smoke goes up, takes that 90-degree bend, which is hard on the draft, but once you get a good draft going, everything works fine, okay? 90-degree bends are nice because the flue will go out your wall. You do not want a flue going out your roof, okay? I've been there, I've done that. Trust me. Rule number one, putting in these wood stoves, try to run them out the wall, not your roof. You're always going to have a leaking roof because of the high heat exposure, and eventually it's going to leak. And I promise you'd rather have it running out your wall. So try to run your wood stove out the wall. However, if you run it out the ceiling, the good thing is you get more heat because, it goes all the way to the flue goes all the way to the ceiling. That extra foot or 2 foot actually provides a lot more heat. You got a lot of heat going out the wall when you do it like I did it, but that's okay. It's part of the system. I've got plenty of heat in the home. Trust me. I can run that little wood stove right there at a tenth of its capacity, and it more than heats my home. It'll get so hot in there when I'm smoking meat, I have to open the door and let cold air in. Okay, so that's how it works. I'm going to show y'all more videos, more pictures, and I'm actually going to smoke a whole cow on that smoker. This is the most efficient stuff uh, you're going to see in our modern society. Who came up with that idea of smoking the meat from inside the home? I did it. God gave it to me because I prayed for discernment and wisdom, and God told me, "Hey, you're already burning your wood stove. You're wasting all this smoke. You could be smoking meat with it, but you have to build a smoker." So I built the smoker. God told me to do it. I did it. Now I can smoke a whole cow in a day. How many people do you know that can smoke a cow in a day? I mean, honestly, that they'd have to construct something. I already have something built. You just give me the cow and the wood, and I can smoke the cow in a day. I've got the structure built. It's going to be there till storm takes it, flood takes it, fire takes it. It's going to be right there, and I can smoke a cow anytime. This is Bryceonomics right here. It's living out efficiency. It's living out creativity. It's not conforming to the world's ideas. I told some of my best friends about this smoker, and they said, "Man, it's not going to work. Your smoke's not going to build up. Your smoke's not going to draft, and blah blah blah." Shut up. The smoker works. It's simple. Smoke goes up. Hang the meat above the fire. Common sense, Bryceonomics. Keep it simple, stupid. Ever heard of KISS? That's it right there. Keep it simple, stupid. Smoke goes up, build a box around the smoke, put the meat in the box. Guys, we ought to all be thinking like this and have confidence in our own competence. Okay. Speaking of a little bit of wisdom, we're going to go into the words of wisdom for the day. I'm sorry, for the week. Words of wisdom for the week. Gayed out is the number one word we're going to start with. Okay. The act of being gayed out. Let's break this down because this is what they are trying to do to us. First, we got gay. That's kind of like the prefix. Okay, that's the most important part of this word. And I'm going to separate. This is actually two words joining out. Okay, they're trying to gay. That is a verb. It's being used as a verb. They're trying to actively gay. The state of being gay, insinuating gayness, affiliating with gayness, associating with gayness. That's right. You can be guilty by association. But anyways, they're trying to impose gayness on you. This is who they're gaying out. That's you. Okay, that's what the arrow's pointing to. Sorry about that bad arrow. Let me right there. Okay, they're trying to gay you out. Okay. Um, let me use it in a sentence. Uh I'm tired of everything like Cracker Barrel getting gayed out. I'm tired of old cars getting gayed out. Now, once again, let me break it down. Gaying out is anything homosexual or anything that was once great being made deteriorated. Okay, so perfect, perfect use of the word gayed out. Old cars that were great, guess what? They're gayed out now. The Toyota Corollas of 2025, gayed out. The Ford F-150 EcoBoost, gate out. Okay, they can't even make an American engine, gate out. They can't make an American tractor, gate out. John Deere, hey, you're John Queer, okay, because you can't make a tractor in America. You can't make stuff that's mechanical. You go in all these gay electronics, so everything's getting gate out. That's the words of the week, words of wisdom of the week, and there it is for you. Ghostman's comment of the week was so awesome. This is from Baskin Bark 6601. He said, "My entire family are huge fans of yours. We live near Cabot, and my daughter named her dog Bryce after you. We also run our own trenching business. If you ever need any trenching done around the farm, message me. I'd be more than happy to hook you up for free just to help out a Christian brother." Wow. Thank you so much, Baskin Bark. Um, what an honor. I grew up in Cabot, so I'm very fond of Cabot, and you don't have to do any trenching help for me, brother, until World War III starts. I promise we will need trenches, and I will be right there beside you in that trench and bring that dog Bryce because we're gonna have to fight our way out of this hole. Okay. Thank you so much. And last week's comment of the week, Sebastian, we hashed it out in the comments. We agreed that ICE should be punished for doing evil things. And I think that we would both agree that ICE really hasn't been punished. There's been no ramifications for these ICE agents pepper spraying babies, stomping on military members' heads, and throwing them on the ground face first, stuff like that. Yeah, me and Sebastian are both mad at ICE over that, and like I said, me and Sebastian, we moved on from disagreeing about ICE. We found common ground. That's what the comment section is for, okay? For agreements or disagreements. It's for people to unite, to share ideas so we can all learn. Thank you so much for sharing your comments and keep them coming, okay? Because that's what makes me want to do this. If there's no comments on there, I don't want to uh, entertain a lack of an audience. You know what I mean? I want to hear what y'all think because I love you. That's why I run this show. No other reason. Because I love you. Okay. And I don't want you gayed out. We're going to talk in Brysonomics about how to avoid a mortgage. Okay. And that's going to come down to really building a home. Okay. And first, let me just start out with some scripture. This is some really good stuff. Psalms 127:1. Unless the Lord builds the house, those who build it labor in vain. So remember that when building your home or acquiring your home, all of it needs to be done in the Lord's name, or all of that work is in vain because you're not honoring the Lord. You know, with the way that you live, your house is going to return to dust, or something's going to burn it, flood's going to wash it away. Um, you know, your house ain't gonna last forever. I hate the term forever home. This is my forever home. That's gayed out. And stop saying that word. This is my forever home. It's not forever. You're gonna die. Sorry. You're not going to live there forever. This is my forever home. You're lucky to live there 10 years. Shut up. So last week we learned that you have to invest your money. Why? Because if you have $100,000 in the bank, next year you have 90. The year after that you have 78. The year after that, guys, the money keeps going down. The inflation is 10 to 20% in this economy every year. It's ridiculous. Okay, we covered last week the price of a home doubles in 7 years. Sometimes it triples. In the comments, I saw one person, their home tripled in value in less than 10 years. This matters to you because you have to spend your money rather invest it actually, because spending it, I consider spending is something that you do on perishables like gasoline or food. You know, those are just overhead expenses. You'll never get those costs back. I'm encouraging you to not just spend your money, but invest it in something that retains value that you won't eat and that you can actually make money off of later. That's the difference in spending your money and investing your money. So I'm encouraging y'all to invest your money because the inflation in this economy is too much to bear. You cannot store money. You have to invest in things. What to invest in first? Raw land. If you don't have it, get it. You need an acre. You need 2 acres. You need 3 acres. If you can't get that, you need 5. You need 10. You need acres. You need raw land, preferably stuff with water and grass on it. That's just common sense, but some people just don't know this stuff. You can do so much more with water and grass as far as livestock goes. Okay, get your land. When you get your acre or 2 acres, um, some of y'all are thinking, well, I spent all my money on the acre or 2 acres. I don't have any money left for the house. Great, because you get to build your character. You get to live in a tent. Okay. And that is what I recommend. This week, we're talking about how to avoid a mortgage, but build a home, acquire the equity, and not owe somebody the whole time that you're building your living quarters. Okay, so like I said, if you literally can just afford an acre, get the acre, put a tent on it, and live in a tent. That's right. That's right. And if anybody told you anything different, then they're probably unappreciative for everything that can be provided from a tent. You can stay warm in a tent. You can stay alive in a tent. You don't have to slave away for another man. Um, if you have a tent and you have your property paid off and you have your car paid off, and a lot of people could afford that. Now, what's better than living in a tent? Let's get a little bit more realistic for people who have a little bit better funding. Well, you can buy a camper. That's what I did, so I'll just start there. Okay, I bought a camper and it was $5,000. I paid 250 to transport it and put a lot of modifications into that camper. Do I advise doing that? If I went back, I would do it again. I would have to. It's either the camper or a tent for me. And the camper was better than the tent. I could afford the camper, but here's the thing about the camper versus the tent. The camper is a lot more work than the tent. Okay, you're going to be fixing up an old camper because, like I said, you're going to be buying this camper if you're on Brysonomics for about $5,000. If you ever go buy a $60,000 camper, you fail Brysonomics. You are a dumb, okay? Because you spent $60,000 on a camper that you could have spent $5,000 on and got the same square footage and then fixed it up for another couple thousand and been just as happy. Do not go buy a $60,000 camper. Hell, some of these campers are $100,000. Don't go buy that crap. Buy a used camper off Facebook Marketplace. Go to Arkansas Facebook Marketplace if you can't find one in your state because they are giving away campers in Arkansas. Promise you. Um, First thing about a camper, roof always leaks. You're going to need a metal covering over it. I put a metal covering over mine. That is also how I drilled my nuts. Here's some pictures of the camper that I had to build the roof over. I'm actually showing you the pictures more so of the roof structure. Yeah, built all this stuff. It was my first thing ever constructed. It's a 40 by 22 foot long. 22-foot long span is pretty good stuff. If you haven't done any engineering before, that 22-foot long span is gonna be tough for you. I spliced my boards together with very strong tactics. I'll go into construction methods another day, but the long spans are going to be the hardest things for y'all to engineer. I'll cover that a different day. We're talking about different varieties of homes, and oh, I love that picture. That grass growing green. There's an okra growing in the front of the camper. See that on the far left there, you see an electrical pole. Okay, you see that electrical pole to the right of it, the next pine beam standing up right vertical. That's where I drilled my nuts in half. That's right. You heard me. 14 stitches in my nuts. Almost ripped my nuts off. Actually, my left nut in particular, it happens to be bigger than my right, especially on this hot day. What's crazy is none of this would ever happen on a cold day. This was in the middle of summer. And yeah, I'll tell y'all the story about ripping my nuts off another day because we're just gonna get right back to the lesson plan. But I promise you that is a great story, and I will tell you. Exactly what happened, okay? You really got a twisted sense of humor if you think that's funny. By the way, what ripped him in half was a drill twisting him up, okay? Don't worry, I'll get into that story another day, okay? We're talking about your homes. This is about you this week. Um, I lived in that 30-foot camper for 10 years. So if you're telling me you can't live in a camper, well, you just mentally aren't tough enough to pass Bryceonomics, and you need to toughen up, Buttercup. I stayed in that camper 10 years. It's a time of my life. The only reason I moved out of the camper is because my wife made me. Okay, when you get married and have kids, you have to move out of the camper. That's rule number one of living in a camper. If you get married and have kids, you move out. um, then there's gonna be other options besides just living in a camper, being the old trailer trash, okay? Some of y'all don't wanna do that. You can build your home out of several things, okay? If you're dirt poor, you could literally use dirt. You could filter out clay, fire the clay, bricks in a kiln, and literally build a clay house, a mud house, a mud hut. They're very cheap, they're very insulated, and if you don't have any other options, you need to just dig and use the dirt to build your home and the rocks that you find in the dirt. That's common sense, and it's been done since the beginning of humanity. I'm not telling you anything new. Okay, if you can afford more modern construction materials and want to have not a hut or a tent or a camper, you can build yourself a home. What you're going to realize when you start to build a home, there are two types of foundations that exist that I know of. I'm going to tell you about both of them. And most importantly, the foundation of the home truly is God. Remember that, okay? So if you're not building your house with God in mind to please God, honor God, and letting God dwell in that home, your house is nothing. It's going to turn to dust. Remember, it's that word of God that makes a home what it is. So when you're talking about building a literal home, let's start with the foundation, okay? What you're walking on, what's holding the home up. You're either going to have a pier and beam design, which most homes in Searcy that are in town, near the hoarding area, within the couple miles proximity, that most of them are pier and beam. Pier and beam is basically means there are a bunch of of beams sitting on piers. A pier is an object like a concrete object that sticks up out of the ground about 3 or 4 feet, and the beam lays across it. So you got your piers, you got your beams, okay? And you have one, two, three, four, as many piers as you want, and you got as long a beam as you want. Now, underneath the pier and beam home is what you call a crawl space. Typically, the crawl spaces are 3 foot if they're really nice. I wish they were more because I've had to get under many of crawl spaces and do much repairs. Um, what's nice about the pier and beam is that it is easier for repairs because if you do the alternative foundation, which is a concrete slab, and then you have to do repairs in the concrete slab, you will be busting up concrete. Okay, which ain't the end of the world, but it's also very hard work. It's easier most of the time to crawl under a good crawl space. So if you were building your first home, what do I recommend that you do? Well, if you don't have any money to build this home that you're wanting to build, pier and beam, 100%. There's no two ways about it. If you are struggling for money and don't have every single item that you need, from your stove to washer, dryer, refrigerator, and you don't have these funds, do a pier and beam. It's so much cheaper than a concrete slab foundation. So once again, there's pier and beam, there's concrete slab. Okay. If you do a concrete slab, you could put your little vinyl over it or whatever. But vinyl is kind of getting gayed out now because everything is just turning into vinyl. It's like vinyl world everywhere you go. Everybody got vinyl this, vinyl that. And I'm sorry, but it's gayed out, brother. I don't want to see vinyl no more. I've just seen enough of it in my life now to say, hey, it's gayed out. I want to see some marbled slabs, which is where you'll take a concrete slab and marble some color into it, put a nice clear epoxy over it, makes it easier to clean and looks appealing to the eye. This vinyl they're making for flooring now, which you could use on pier and beam or slab. Okay, you could use a vinyl in any home that has a straight flat floor. I don't like the vinyl because they're trying to make it look like wood. You know, it's better real wood. Okay, I like real wood hard floors. I like real concrete slabs, real tile floors, um, and carpet is really nice in living rooms and stuff. Don't put carpet in your bathroom though, that's disgusting. But yeah, carpet is alright, especially for, like, a bedroom or something. The number one way that you can save on your home, in my opinion, if you're doing a traditional, uh, wood stick framed home is, buy your lumber anywhere other than Lowe's or Home Depot. Lowe's and Home Depot have the most commercially overpriced shitty wood you could imagine, and I built my home 1,600 square foot for less than $2,000 worth of lumber. Yeah, that's right. My structurally sound, very structurally sound 1,600 square foot home was built for less than $2,000 of lumber. Why? Because I have a local sawmill that I go to. They get all the boards that I need cut, and it's called rough cuts. Okay, so you take your rough cuts, you run them through your table saw. Get you a DeWalt table saw, $500. Okay, be best thing you ever had when you're doing this construction. That's right, DeWalt table saw. You run your rough cuts through there, make your own boards. And guys, you save $50,000. Okay. Don't go spend $50,000 on lumber or 20,000, whatever y'all are paying. I'm not paying that. I promise. I paid less than 2,000 to build my home in the wood. Of course, I had sheetrock, paint, appliances, all that. But do you see how much I'm saving by building it myself, getting away from borrowing money to pay other builders? And supplying my own lumber. Do you understand what Bryceonomics is about? It's about not needing other people to do stuff that you're capable of doing. So take all aspects that you can control into your hands and control them. Um, and now, if you have a lot of money, just pay somebody else to build your home. Guess who doesn't have a lot of money? Bryce Mitchell. That's right. Bryce Mitchell built his own home because he doesn't want to pay people $100,000 to build him a home. And, that's how I live my life. So, yes, I lived in a trailer for 10 years while I built my own home. Why didn't I just buy a home from somebody else and pay a couple $100,000 for them to build my home? Because I took that couple $100,000 and bought 10 homes in Cersei. That's right. I own 10 plus homes. It's like 14 homes, I believe, we own now. Me and my buddies built up our equity in a rental company. So instead of spending all this money on my home, I bought a piece of shit trailer and I stayed in it and I saved my money. And every time that I got money or profit from a fight, I put that money into local real estate so that I could rent homes to tenants at an affordable price and provide a great lifestyle for all of my tenants. And I'm happy to do that. It's a wonderful business, and I'm really glad that I chose to invest into real estate. But you can take your money that you saved and put it into any business you want. That's none of my business, honestly, what your business is, unless you want it to be and you have a question. Put it in the comments if you have a question for me related to your business, and maybe I'll get to respond to you. So, guys, this is just a scratching the surface of how to build your home and all the decisions that go into every aspect of building the home and designing the home. We're going to go much more into detail in the construction methods, where to get your construction supplies, where to find your laborers. We're going to go into every bit of that later in Bryceonomics. What this was about today is telling you the basics, which is avoid a mortgage, build your own home. It's that simple. That's Bryceonomics 101. Okay. Like I said, in the future, I'll tell you how to build. I'll tell you everything about it. I mean, I'm a professional. I'm just telling you, I've done built a lot of stuff. I'll show you all the stuff I built and I'll talk you through it. But this week we're going to move on because I think you get the concept. The concept is build with your own hands. You are a man. If you don't have hands and you're watching this show today, I'm sorry. I'm not trying to offend you. Most of my listeners are men and most of them have hands. Get off your ass and use your hands and build a home. And this is some scripture that kind of fits right in with what we're talking about. This is Proverbs 22:7, and it says, the borrower is servant to the lender. That's right, guys. We never want to borrow if we don't have to. And there's a great chance that you don't have to borrow when building your home. So keep that in mind, Brysonomics. Try not to borrow. So we're going to go into the topic of reptilians and underground tunnels. That's right. I'm a firm believer in reptilians, 100%. Why? Because I'm a Christian. I actually read the Bible. I actually love what the Bible says. I actually know that it's true. I don't just believe that it's true. Um, Everything in that Bible has happened that has said that it's happened, okay? And let's start talking about one of the first talking creatures ever after humans, which is introduced in the Bible in Genesis 3, which is the walking, talking serpent. So you wonder, well, Bryce, where do you believe in these reptilians? And it's crazy because other Christians will ask me, why do you believe in reptilians that rule the planet or walk around on the planet that are conscious beings and talk? Well, because I've read the Bible. Look at Genesis 3:14, okay? When Eve was approached by a talking, walking serpent. Okay? You got to understand, this is one of the first beings that ever existed, was a walking, talking serpent. Let's go to Genesis 3:14 because most of y'all don't realize that all serpents used to walk, and that when the serpent deceived Eve into biting the apple, that's when God said, you shall no longer have legs. Now you will crawl on your bellies because you've deceived humans, and all humankind now has to die because of the serpent. So the serpent was punished by getting its legs took away. My Mimi told me that when I was way young, so I guess I kind of have an advantage there over most people who've never heard this their whole life. But yeah, my Mimi told me snakes used to have legs. God took them away because what they did to humans. That's right. Snakes walk and talk, okay? And if you don't believe the Bible, well, I guess you're not a good Christian. I don't know. You can take that up with God. When you see God in the face, you're probably going to believe that he exists and you're probably going to believe his word. So you don't want it to be too late then. You better start believing it now. Let me go to Genesis 3:14. And the Lord God said unto the serpent, because thou hast done this, thou art cursed above all cattle and above every beast in the field. Upon thy belly shalt thou go, and dust shalt thou eat all the days of thy life. So God literally told the serpent, Genesis 3:14, you're going to be confined to your belly. Your legs are gone. Okay, so Bryce isn't so crazy. The serpent was walking and talking in the most historically accurate piece of evidence ever transcribed, which is the Bible. So the Bible says there are walking, talking lizards. Okay, that's why I believe in it. Reason number two, everywhere I look, I see some evil, rat looking, lizard looking people. Okay, that's why I can't help but to think some of these people are cruel, cold blooded, discreet, secretive.
We're very discreet, reptilian, cold blooded.
All right, guys. So, what's some modern examples of reptilians? Look at that thing. That's one of the richest dudes in the world. And look what he married. Look at her, dude. Look at the fingers on that thing. You think that's a human? I really do believe that these people are fully possessed, potentially half reptilian. Okay. And I could pull up pictures of weird people all day and them saying weird things and doing weird things and acting or looking reptilian. Okay. Um, However, the actually most convincing piece of evidence for reptilians, and that is the vast network of underground tunnels. Most of y'all don't understand what I mean because you hear me say, oh, well, tunnels exist underground. And you think, oh, well, humans can dig tunnels. The humans put them there. Guys, first off, humans don't like to dig tunnels underground unless if they're weird, um, or there's some military need, or you're an archaeologist or something. But most people don't like to dig tunnels. Okay. Um, most people are unaware of the vast amount of tunnels that there are. Let me just tell you something. There's more tunnels underground than you could even fathom. There's more tunnels underground than there are cities above ground. How do I know this? Okay, well, it's simple mathematics. You take all the towns that you can think of on the relatively flat surface of the earth. Okay, you're talking about two dimensions there. You can have a building go up, and what the highest building goes up a couple thousand feet. Do you understand when you're talking about the surface area of underneath the ground. It's not just a two-dimensional plane, it's three-dimensional because they can go tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of feet down low. Okay, so there's actually more room for cities, and the cities are bigger underground. That's right. I'm admitting it. There's more cities underground than there are above ground. If you haven't done your research, you might not know this. Nobody tells us this. But the first thing that I'm going to get to when it comes to underground tunnels, I'm going to start with, for me, what opened my eyes, which is the Paris catacombs. And I'm telling you guys, this stuff is unbelievable. If you don't know what the Paris catacombs are, first off, there are 6 million human remains in the Paris catacombs. I know the 6 million, the number probably triggered half my audience. 6 million? Guys, there really are 6 million bodies. You can count them. This isn't some made up stuff where we have their tennis shoes, okay? There are 6 million skulls, human faces looking at you, built into the wall. You can go through these tunnels. They're called the catacombs of France, and you can count 6 million skulls. Guys, we don't know to this day what built those tunnels. We have no clue. If you take our modern history, how it's taught in schools, there is no room, no possible explanation for how those tunnels got there. Not only are there 6 million plus human remains, as in they stopped counting skulls at 6 million, there's probably 100 million skulls on the wall used as decoration. 100 million something bodies and skulls, but there's 6 million confirmed, okay? They're taking millions of dead bodies and making art out of them. Guys, I'm not kidding you. This is underneath the ground in Paris. The tunnels are actually unexplored. You heard me right. They have not even explored all these tunnels. They don't even know what all is down there. So don't tell me, oh, it's explored and mapped out, this and that. No, it's not. You don't even know where all these tunnels go to. You don't know how they got there. You don't know where the bodies came from. Where did the 6 million bodies come from? Who put these tunnels there? Where were the people? Why is there no account in the history record? Well, suddenly Bryce starts making more sense when he says, hey, another creature besides humans built these, and they control our society, and they use imagery to tell us that they live underground and control us. Okay, why else would this statue be in New York? It's a video of a serpent pulling a kid down with a bag over its head. That's right. That statue really exists in New York City, and it's sickening. And the bag on the kid's head actually has a money symbol on it, which most people don't realize. The S in the dollar bill is the symbol of a serpent. So the dollar sign, that's actually symbolizing a serpent. That's where it originates from. Most people don't know that. But yeah, serpents are everywhere, guys. They live underground, and I believe they dug all of the catacombs of France. And you'll also, if you'll see on this structure of the catacombs of France, you'll see these rounded edges. Whereas typically, humans have sharp corners in the walls and stuff. And here you're seeing a lot of rounded edges. And I don't know how these reptiles are building these tunnels or digging them out. Um, what I've heard is that they're using acid solutions, like advanced chemistry to actually melt the tunnel walls, and they're not digging it like we would. That's what would take humans so long, is we have to dig and remove dirt. These reptilians could possibly be using chemicals, and be masters of chemistry for all I know. But the fact is, they're digging more tunnels than humans can possibly explore. There's more underground than there is above ground. That's a fact. If you don't know, now you know. Okay. Um, so why would those catacombs be built? Obviously, something that we don't know of, that's not recorded in history, has been living there, has built them, and has abducted the 6 million people that they're using their bodies for decoration. Guys, this shit ain't a joke, dude. There's millions of bodies down there on display. Like it's a furniture. Okay? This stuff is crazy. Um Most of y'all don't realize that you can go from a tunnel in Maine in America and come out in California. That's right. There are tunnels connecting the entire underground system. What Ghostman pulled up here is a picture of a top map showing the mysterious cases of people vanishing without a trace. The bottom map shows America's largest caves. So look, guys, near the largest existing caves, you have all these children going missing. Why do you think the children are going missing in the cave? Because something lives in those caves and it's taking the children, whether it be people like pedophiles, or whether it be reptilian lizards, or whether it be both. I don't know, but I'm just starting to think that there's a combo of both here, that humans are working with lizards to get the kids to the caves. No sunlight ever again. Once you go in these tunnels, you're going to be begging for your death. You're never going to see the light of day again. These tunnels go on longer than the country goes on itself. People don't realize the vastness of these systems, okay? There's a lot of rats out there and they're digging these tunnels. Who's the biggest rat digging all these tunnels? The biggest rat of all the rats is Elon Musk. That's right. People don't know he's the number one digger in the country. Let me tell you something, brother. When you have all the money in the world and you want to put a chip in people's brain and you want to dig tunnels, yeah, there's something wrong with you. And he's hiding something underground. I'm just telling you, I don't trust the rat bastard, and he's not putting the mark of the beast in my brain. If you're listening to this, if you take the mark of the beast, you will go to hell. That's laid out in Revelation 14. It says your smoke will ascend upwards eternally. That's not good. Don't take the mark from Elon. If so, you're going to be stuck in hell with him. I don't know what else to tell you. Guys, if you don't know about this stuff, you're behind. Okay, you need to understand. Don't be deceived by the world. Okay, 1 Peter 5:8. Be alert and of sober mind. Your enemy, the devil, prowls around like a roaring lion looking for someone to devour. Don't let them tell you you're crazy just because you're asking the questions that nobody else is asking. Speak the truth, even if it costs your comfort. That's what I'm all about. I've taken heavy criticism for every single thing I just said. The moment you stop questioning things is the moment you stop being free. We'll see you next time. I love you so much. And one last thing, for there is nothing hidden that will not manifest. Luke 8:17. Boom.